Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, faithful? It is Thursday, which means it's time for the 49ers Coach Approach with the man himself, Ant for 49ers Cutback. How we doing today, my friend?
Doing good. Yeah, excited for this episode. A good opportunity to talk 49ers. And the good news is they're still in the playoffs, right? I mean, I know everything that happened in Seattle. It's kind of starting to fade away a little bit, but there's a big game coming up. And it's an exciting time if you're a 49ers fan to be able to look at this team and think back to where they came from. No Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner, yet here we are. And they have an opportunity to go get something done. 3 one-game seasons to get to the Super Bowl. And if you win those games, well, you're going to put yourself in a prime position to have a home game for the biggest game that there is. And I think this is all you can ask for as a fan, is for an opportunity. And the 49ers are really primed to have a big chance against Philadelphia, because I do think this matchup isn't terrible for the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree. And you look at these two teams and, they really haven't played each other in their current structure. They haven't had these coordinators. They haven't had, it's just different. Now, a lot of the personnel from the Eagles is similar in that 2023 matchup where the 49ers blew them out. Personnel from the 49ers side could not be more different. And then you look at the injuries and all the things that are going in there. That just makes it even more. It's a new 49ers team, younger and cheaper, has its effects. You're going through that. Doesn't mean the game's going to end, but that's kind of where it is. And, it's funny. I got a lot of emails on this. Shout out to my man Shane for the super chat. I got a lot of these. Wanted to get this in from the jump. Not this first part. Didn't get a lot of the first part. The second part. Want to get this in from the jump. Thank you. 1, Chapman, you're the best in the business. That's very, very kind. 2, what's your take on what you know of the Eagles fan ref in the playoff game? You guys have seen the records. It's outrageous, in my opinion. I got an email from Punker, who's a big supporter as well. That is correct. It is an Eagles fan from Philadelphia reffing this game in Philly. Yeah, it's very frustrating. His name is Alan Eck, and in games he's reffed the Eagles, they're 8-1, and in games he's reffed the 49ers, they're 3-6. I'm not a ref guy, so I'm going to go to somebody way more cool-headed than myself. Ant, this is crazy. Or are we overreacting?
I think you always look at the refs and what things that they like to call, because I do think it's very important for how the game is going to play out. I mean, just last week there was a reffing crew that just doesn't call holding at all. Like, offensive holding does not exist in any game that they ref. So these things do matter. I know it is dangerous if you're living in a certain area to be a ref and not call things well for that team. We had an NFL ref that lived nearby, and when he reffed the Raiders game and it didn't go the Raiders' way, they showed up at his house and they broke his windows. So it can be bad. I do not have a great relationship. Raiders gonna Raider. That's it. And I don't have a great relationship with refs. I tried, but it's very tough. I think that the 49ers are going to pretty much ignore that. They'll just look at the tendencies of what this reffing crew does and adjust accordingly. But I think it's interesting that you're having a guy from Pennsylvania ref the game, and you look at the records and it feels like it does normally slant towards the Philadelphia Eagles. And so, I mean, stats are stats for a reason. Like, that's like legit. It's not close. So I think it is a little unsettling for fans, but as players and coaches, you just have to try to ignore it. And, and then during the game, we all become Herman Boone. We're yelling at him. He's lining up off sides. He's up. That's how we all are, because we're just frustrated.
Did you ever get flagged for your behavior with the refs? I'm curious.
Yes, I did. I got flagged once for jumping, actually. He got me for jumping in the air after a really bad call.
And with the hops.
Yeah, he's what he told me to. There's actually a picture somebody took. I'll have to find it sometime of me elevated up out of the air, and it was the exact penalty I got. I almost got another one too, but I was able to talk him down as he reached for his flag. Apparently, horse manure is not what you say, and that's exactly what I said too. That's horse manure. I said lots of other stuff. I didn't know that was the one. My favorite one was when I told the ref that he was going to get carpal tunnel if he kept throwing so many flags. That was a lot of fun too.
Oh, that's awesome. My thing is, I've never been ejected. I have had way too many flags that I can't. I'm a hothead out there on the football field. It's not a positive. But yeah, my whole thing was like, just call it fair. I don't care if you're a lot of flags, no flags, call it both sides. When it's one-sided, that's where it gets, whatever. And that's whenever I would lose my mind. I'm not a fan of the refs. And my thing is this: you need refs. They need to exist. You need officials. My problem is the NFL does not take it serious. They do not have full-time officials, and they allow refs that make it about themselves to continuously be employed and to always be around. And that's a problem. Whenever you get guys like Alan Eck, who is a Philly fan and a Philly native, reffing in a Philly game at home, it's just like, come on, man. Objectivity is not even valued by the NFL. Like, this is a mess, but that is not an excuse. So, having said all the things about the refs and how terrible they are, that does not mean that the 49ers are going to lose this game. So anyway, take that for what you will. Now, one thing I want to talk about is I want to step back and talk about rookies, not just the 49ers, but definitely the 49ers. Dane Brugler and the Beast and the Athletic and New York Times, he does probably the best draft work out there, probably the most comprehensive for sure. He just put out his all rookie team from this year. First team, second team, runners up, all that stuff from all the positions. And I thought it was incredible. Now, the 49ers were very, very well represented. They did not have a first team all rookie. They did have a runner-up, and the one runner-up was Upton Stout, of all people. I would have guessed it would have been Alfred Collins, but it was Upton Stout. And what's crazy is Alfred Collins didn't even get honorable mention. I thought that was, he's the best, Dane Brugler. I thought that was a pretty big miss. Here are the players that the 49ers drafted that did get honorable mention, though. Mikael Williams, Connor Colby, CJ West, and Marquise Siegel. So you have 5 rookies for the 49ers represented. And I would argue the best rookie that the 49ers had didn't even get mentioned. Thought it was interesting. What were your thoughts just on the article and kind of, we do so much draft work. You are incredible at it. How did you feel like it was a measuring stick for the 49ers cut back draft work?
Yeah, I thought the list was really, well thought out, and there's a lot of impressive rookies. And, every year we go into the draft process and we end up locating guys that we absolutely love. The worst part is when your team ends up playing those guys. Like last week with Dick Emenwari, I can't stand it. This week it's going to be Jihad Campbell. And I'm like, man, I see him on film for the Eagles, and I'm like, man, I wish he was a 49er. But I love looking back and kind of seeing the things that you thought about these players. And the one thing that I do love is how Upton Stout has continued to improve this season. Upton Stout really does deserve this type of honor because he has just gotten better and better and better. And if you go put on week 1 film of Upton Stout, you put on week 17 film of Upton Stout, you're going to find a player that has advanced so much in everything he does. He feels comfortable. He's making big time plays. Upton Stout is legit. He's going to be a dude in this league. He's going to be one of the better nickel corners, and he's an absolute beast. But I love the representation for all the 49ers on this list. And I thought that's important. And they're about to get some really good experience for the future when they get to play in the playoffs. This is a young team in a lot of categories that is rebuilding, and they've got a lot of young guys that are doing. But I thought Dane Brugler had some really good players. And, of course, there's always the names, right? You're the most common with, the Ashton Genties and those guys and the big-time players. But it was nice kind of seeing the guys that were flying under the radar that we kind of fall in love with when we get into the draft process, showing up on this list and proving that they really were really good players, no matter where they came from. You got it all represented. All the rounds are represented in this. You even brought up Connor Colby. That's a 7th-round pick. It's nice to see.
Yeah, and I'll say this, my 2 favorite, we do the Rush Crush. We've done it for, I think, 4 seasons now. We had 19 Rush Crush players in this draft. Only 3 of them had first-round grades. So, we don't just cherry pick, the best players or whatever. 12 out of 19 of our Rush Crushes got some type of award. And my first My favorite player of this draft was Jacob Harris. He was a first teamer. And my second favorite player was Harold Fanta Jr. Obviously, you could argue offensive rookie of the year. Like, he's in contention for that. So, like, I was pretty happy with how the 49ers rush team, and, it's not just me, it's a lot of us that work on that, came out pretty good. So 12 out of 19, I'll take it. We'll keep working it. Probably my favorite that was on there, Craig Woodson, the safety from Cal, who I was a big fan of. Derek Harmon, he was one of my favorite players. If the Niners didn't go Mikael Williams, Derek Harmon was my number 2, both represented. And Denzel Burke, who's now sadly for the Cardinals, he was a first-team corner. That dude played very, very well. So I think stepping back from kind of what they put out there, and you go check it out. It's on New York Times, The Athletic, all that stuff. The 49ers rookie class is good. The problem is Mikael Williams injured. Third round pick, Nick Martin, definitely not the year anybody wanted. Injured as well. Never even got started. But you saw what Mikael could be. Alfred Collins, I think, is the home run hit. Upton Stout is the number 2. Then after that, there's just a series of guys. CJ West, he's playing the best football of his career the past month. Marquise Siegel, I really wish he was starting. I love this super chat from Trey Hall. He said, got a signed 27 jersey at home. Now I'm sad. I love the humor there. And yeah, can you talk me off of the ledge and help me understand a little bit? Because whenever I watch Jair Brown, it's really, really bad. Not all plays are bad. Like, okay, here's what I do in the mornings. I do a treadmill walk, right? So I put on a weighted vest, and I just walk on the treadmill for like 30 minutes, and I'm dripping sweat by the end of it. And I have 2 TVs out during football season. I put one TV on beaches, like literally like pretty scenery beaches, because I love the beach. And then I put one on 49ers tape or highlights. And what I've watched all the season way too many times. So now I'm going back and looking at other teams' highlights against us. And it's just a reel of Jair Brown. Like almost all these plays that other teams celebrate and are their highlights, 27 is the butt of the joke every time. Give me a nuanced take, if you can, and tell me I'm a little bit over the top on my Jair Brown criticism.
I think it comes down to consistency for Jair Brown. That's the problem. You see these highlight plays. He'll make a play here and there, and it's like, ooh, here comes Jair. The problem is there's going to be 3 or 4 bad ones. A bad angle here, a missed tackle there, a slip up in coverage where he lets a guy get behind him. He sits flat-footed in the middle of the field. It's just inconsistent for him. The highlights are there. It's about consistency, and this is something that every coach talks about, is we just need you to be consistent. We don't need big highlight plays all the time. You get 1 or 2 a game, that's great, but we need you to be better. And I think that's the problem with Jair Brown. He's not consistent, and that's why people like Marquise Siegel a lot, because Marquise Siegel was consistent. He tackled. He was in the right spots. Couldn't finish on plays. That's a thing that he has to work on. But that's what's going on with Jair Brown. There's just no consistency, because I don't know about you, John, but I'm watching these linebackers in this game, and they're frustrating the living heck out of me, watching Tatum Bethune and D. Winters. And then I'm seeing Jair Brown sometimes pulling the trigger and making a tackle in the hole, and I'm like, that's exactly what we needed Jair Brown to do. But then 2 plays later, he's got a bad angle, and he's letting Kenneth Walker run around the inside when he should have had him tackled in the alley. And it's like, that just can't happen. I think that's the problem with Jair Brown. Lack of consistency, and that leads to big plays against this defense, and you just can't afford it with the type of defense the 49ers play. They're playing a bend and don't break, get you to third down, as yesterday so eloquently said, eat your vegetables on first and second down. Eric Kendrick said that's exactly what it is, because then you get to the meat and potatoes on third down where you can go get after the quarterback and get off the field. They just haven't been consistent, and the safeties are a big reason why. Malik Mustafa as well just struggled. At times he's great, and at other times you're like, man. And I think that's the frustrating part about the 49ers back into their defense.
So I guess my question is this. Shout out to Leon Sandcastle. Love the name. Jair Brown, like, what's the future? He still has 1 more year left in his rookie deal. Is he a starter moving forward? Is there a competition there? Should the Niners prioritize drafting a safety? Is Marquise Siegel somebody that you give another opportunity to? Like, how do you, we just talked rookies. How do you have this week is everything, you're in the playoffs, but what's the long-term play at safety? because it's been the weakest position on the 49ers roster, offense, defense, special teams this year consistently.
Yeah, I think you're looking at Marquis Siegel as an eventual starter. I think that they wanted him to start this season. And unfortunately, he didn't make some of the plays that he needed to make, some finishes. But I still like him a lot. I think guys like Nick Martin as well. I think he's an eventual starter next year. It didn't work out this year, but next year is a whole other story. And that's how it's going to be for rookies. Some are going to make an impact in year 1. Some are going to make an impact year 2, year 3. And I think they got a couple. But I think you got a couple of routes to go. I think Marquis Siegel, number 1, makes a lot of sense, what he's able to do. But I think they also need to look at the draft and go find another safety. I think that they need a guy that's going to make a play on the football. If you look at both of their safeties right now, neither one of them are really guys who make a play on the ball. Jair Brown's had opportunities, can't do it. That's not really Malik's game. So I think they need one of those guys. And I think if they could find an upgrade over Malik Mustafa, I think they look at that as well. I like him. I don't know if I like him as much as I liked him last year watching his film this season. So I think that it's a concern. I think it's a position they got to address. And here you got a Hall of Fame safety in the front office, and the 49ers haven't quite been able to get it right at safety. It's one of those holes that they haven't been able to figure out. If you're going to tell me they're going to draft a linebacker, it's going to be great. You're going to tell me they're going to draft a defensive end, it's going to be great. If you're going to tell me they're going to draft a safety, I'm going to go, I don't know. I don't know for sure, and that's a concern.
Yeah, it is. I mean, my biggest what if this offseason, and, he was one of my favorite players, was Talanoa Hufanga. Dude's played 17 out of 17 games, and, the Broncos, 1 seed, whatever else. And, the hindsight's 2020. I understand. It's just, it sucks whenever you had an all-pro safety that you let walk and, man, has made the difference for, the Broncos. And it's just like, you look at our safety room and it's like, oh my gosh, could you imagine if, 29 was still playing for us and what that would look like. And he has his issues too. It's not like he's, a perennial all-pro player, but he's definitely a top 5 safety in this league consistently. And it's just like, younger, cheaper doesn't always work out. Now, you brought up linebackers and the issues that were there. I want to talk Eric Kendricks, the new number 3 installed, number 4 technically, because you had Fred Warner, then you had Tatum Bethune, then you had Curtis Robinson, then back to Tatum. Now it's freaking Eric Kendricks time. What did you think of the tape whenever you dove into it? The first half he was the Sam backer. Then, halfway through the second quarter, he became the Mike backer. What did the tape tell you about Eric Kendricks?
It's a guy that does things right. You could see it. The pre-snap reads are there. You could see him pointing things out before they ever even happen. And, that's the number one thing. A veteran that understands that can put everyone in position that can give insight. But also then it's the footwork. He's got the proper read step. He's getting downhill. You look at the difference between him, Bethune, and D. Winters when they're all out there together. And I love that we got some 3 linebacker sets to kind of evaluate that. And you see him getting downhill, getting across the face of offensive linemen and not allowing them to get to him and getting in the way of the play. And then you see Bethune and D. Winters moving horizontally or even backwards at times, and they're getting bodied because they're allowing these offensive linemen to get angles on them. You also see Kendricks on the backside. He is there for the cutback lane. He's sitting, he's waiting. D. Winters is not. And I know that you see this too, John, because you work with linebackers, and it's one of the most frustrating things in the world to see that backside linebacker wash himself out of the play and allow them to have a huge cutback. And they were looking for it the whole time. Zach Charbonnet, I know Jair Brown is going to get a lot of heat for that. That Zach Charbonnet explosive touchdown is as much on D. Winters as on Jair Brown. Jair Brown's trying to make a play, and I don't even, always like to defend him, but he was trying to make a play. D. Winters is nowhere to be found. That is 100% on D. Winters. It was just a really bad play. Linebacker play, a little bit shaky, especially from Bethune and Winters. Kendricks will make a huge improvement. I'm even cool with Kaiser White because he's going to pull the trigger. He's going to do things the right way with footwork, and those young guys are struggling right now.
It's funny because, I made this statement on Twitter. Somebody asked me, Twitter's wild right now. There are some crazy takes out there, football, everything involved. Anyway, somebody tried to tell me D. Winters has been playing really good all year, and I was like, what are you watching? Like, I completely disagree. But they're like, no, everybody's saying he's playing great. And I'm just like, the film does not say that. The film doesn't say that at all. But what I posted was, I would argue Eric Kendricks' game this week that he just played against Seattle was the best linebacker play the 49ers have seen since 54 was out there. Now, I'm not saying Eric Kendricks is an all-pro or a Pro Bowler or that's what you got. I'm saying it was the most consistent film, and that's something we've talked about all year, consistency. You saw it for the first time at the linebacker position, and, like, it was awesome. And the funny thing is, even Garrett Wallow, like, you talked about how tentative Tatum Bethune and D. Winters are out there and how they just sit there and can't register the play, can't read the play, can't react. Garrett Wallow goes in there and says, F it. I ain't even supposed to be out here. Fly straight to the line every single time. Wrong a lot of times. Bad reads a lot of times. But he ain't tentative. And I loved it. Like, Garrett Wallow did not play well. But that dude made his choices, 100%, all-out effort. Sometimes it worked. Most of the time it didn't. I'll take that over D. Winters sitting there scratching his head at 2 counts after the snap every single play. Like, if Garrett Wallow's the starting will this week over D. Winters, I am not upset. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I've always been one that was more, hey, go make something happen. If you're going to make a mistake, at least go forward, take on an offensive lineman, take on an offensive player, and try to plug a gap rather than, sitting back and just getting washed. And that's the problem. D. Winters right now has the dirtiest eyes that I've seen from a defensive player in a long time. It doesn't matter if it's reading the play. It's taking him a long time. He's not even moving. He stands still. And as a linebacker, you can never just be standing still. And then it's in coverage. I mean, he's looking in the backfield as the guy that comes into his zone runs right past him. And then even then, he's just sitting there. And yes, it's zone coverage and you're covering an area. But when someone's in your area, you cover the man in the area.
He has not learned that one time. Like,
not
he
once.
has not learned it one time.
And that is what's frustrating about watching that film, because you look at the first 2 or 3 games of the season with Fred Warner. Yes, D. Winters played well. And even then they started kind of picking on him a little bit for a stretch. Then there was a couple of games in the middle where it looked like, oh, D. Winters is coming around, but he's been struggling more so. It's consistency the same way it is with Jair Brown, but there was a lot of bad linebacker play. And I do think Eric Kendricks is going to make a big difference. I do think that they're going to give Kaiser White some snaps. I mean, Robert Saleh said in his presser today, he knows the defense. He's ready to give us some minutes. I don't know if that means he's going to start, but I think they know they have a linebacker issue. Nobody can put on film that watches film and think the 49ers linebackers are playing well, minus Eric Kendricks, who played really good in that game. And I think the more he gets comfortable just being on the field again, he'll play even better.
The thing about Kaiser White, people have to remember, he played for Gus Bradley in the past. So there's some scheme overlap there. They're not identical, but they're very similar. So he knows a little bit. If D. Winters plays, which I'm not sure I really want him to be, I kind of want the season to be done. I would rather go down scrapping with somebody that plays with passion and heart and, just something. Like, let Garrett Wallow start, which is so crazy to say, and rotate in some Kaiser White, see how that goes. Gosh, man. Again, all 5 linebackers on the initial 53-man roster for the 49ers this season are out currently. Out. And Luke Gifford probably back at Sam. I mean, there ain't nothing you can do about that. You got to roll with that. It's what it is. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a weird year. And the linebacker story with the injuries and the lack of quality play, the safety room, the injuries, the lack of consistent play, the defensive end room, injuries, lack of consistent play. I mean, people were talking about Bryce Huff, hitting his 8-sack qualifier to bump the, trade compensation up to the Eagles up to a 4th-round pick. But that dude, he didn't get a sack in 2 months. He ain't had a sack in 2 months. So I want to talk about that right after this. Everybody's betting the NFL in full do or die mode. College football down to the last teams, and the Super Bowl is just right around the corner. If there was ever a time to get involved in the game, it's now. And MyBookie makes it stupid easy to play. One account, one wallet, bet the spread, live bet the second half, hit the casino during the commercials. It's all in one place, and you've got the power. Go to mybookie.ag now and use promo code 49ers, 49ERS, and you get your first bet covered up to $500. If it doesn't hit, use your bet back bonus token, run it back. Don't just watch the playoffs, make them pay. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, and I mean anywhere, Texas, California, no matter where you are, only at MyBookie. All right, we got a super chat here from Dale. Thank you, man. He says, hot take, our linebacker woes are a secret weapon. Opposing offenses don't know how to prepare for them. There is not enough take. Dale, you are the freaking man. I really appreciate you, buddy. And yeah, the one thing that I can't say is Kendricks was the play caller for the defense for the Cowboys last year and played the Eagles twice, 2 of his best games of the year. So that is good. So like he knows this offense, whatever else, however you want to look at that. And talk to me like, people have instantaneously gone to whenever you talk or criticize any defensive back, whatever. They're like, well, we ain't got no pass rush. What are they supposed to do? They can't cover. They can't cover. Pass rush is bad. Bryce Huff, who was kind of supposed to be the guy, not great. Can the 49ers find any impact at all to get pass rush versus the Eagles? Lane Johnson's back practicing. What are your thoughts there on this part of the matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is kind of a give and take a lot of times, right? It's supposed to be a marriage. You work together. Sometimes the defensive line gets there and makes it easier on the secondary, and sometimes the secondary has to hold their water so the defensive line has time to get there. It's just not perfect. So what you're hoping is it's going to, when one doesn't work out, the other one will. Sometimes you manufacture that with blitzes and stunts, and you try to make things happen, and you know one has to kind of hold up. But that's why you have to tie these things together. I do think it's made it more difficult on the secondary at times with the amount of time a quarterback has in the pocket. We know that pressure is just, it's not about sack numbers, it's about pressure numbers, getting that quarterback uncomfortable where his internal clock speeds up and he throws the football a little bit earlier than he wanted to. But the 49ers have to figure out a way to generate pass rush. Now, I don't know if this week is the week where you go out there and you go for broke against a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. I think this is one you say, hey, Jalen Hurts needs to beat us from the pocket. He needs to be successful throwing the football, and then we're going to make him feel uncomfortable because we're going to take away plays to the outside. We're going to make him throw the ball over the middle. We're going to make him read coverage and go through progressions a little bit. And I think that is the name of the game in this one. I do think they need to generate some pressure. They got a couple of sacks on Sam Darnold last week. I thought they did a really good job with some of the delayed type blitzes that Saleh was doing with that Mike linebacker, where he was ignored and then all of a sudden he would come flying upfield and get into the face of the quarterback. I think that type of thing is great too with Jalen Hurts because then it eliminates some of the run lanes for him when he drops back to pass. But I mean, the thing is, you're going against a different kind of quarterback. This is more of a Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks kind of quarterback that you're dealing with Jalen Hurts, kind of like the end of his. Yeah, I just mean towards the end where he's kind of getting completely caught in the structure of the offense, and he's not as mobile as he used to be. He can still do it here and there. They're not running him as much, but you got to make him win from the pocket. Now, the difference is Russ could do it, right? Russ was one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL, and Jalen Hurts, he can do it on occasion, but they just haven't had the explosives. They don't run him as much. He runs 35% less this season. I think that it's not a week that you're like, the pass rush has to get home. Right. They just have to make him feel uncomfortable and then make him throw the ball where he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I want Jalen Hurts to force the win. Make Jalen Hurts beat you from inside the pocket, throwing over the middle. You could do that, you're going to win this game. Like, you're going to win this game. Now, a couple people on here, Huff has to play too many snaps. He's not an every down defensive end, marksman, and the one. Dude played 30 snaps last week. They weren't 30 good snaps either. Like, at some point, he's got to play better. He just has to. And whenever he got his hamstring, he hasn't been the same since he's come back. And, like, we've seen that this year a lot. You know, shoot, pull string doll, right? Hamstring or calf injury. Yeah, I mean, it's the 49ers way. It's so frustrating. Right here, the one says 91 and 94 should be first and second down. Bring in Huff on third down. No, I don't want 94 out there unless it's NASCAR. That dude is not putting out good tape consistently. He can rush the passer very well. Can't do anything else. He's not disciplined. He has no, like, I'm not a Yetur Gross-Matos guy. I really wish they would have kept Leonard Floyd. I think that was a terrible mistake over 94, but that's okay. I know he fits the prototype of what they want as that inside rusher. But I don't know, man. But I agree with you, Ant. Like, if this isn't the week that you got to get sacks, so like that's a positive. Not that no pass rush is a positive. That's not what it is at all. It's just confine the quarterback inside the pocket. Don't let him escape outside. You do that enough, you're going to have a chance. You're going to have a chance. And so if you can make Hurts beat you from inside now. Saquon Barkley, a little bit of a different story. And today on the press conference, somebody asked Saleh, like, Saquon Barkley hadn't had the year that he had last year. How are teams defending him? And Saleh goes, yeah, schematically, we're not going to talk about that. What are your thoughts on the 49ers finally stopping the run? You did it against Jonathan Taylor a month ago and the Colts. Can the 49ers step up and stop the run against the Eagles this weekend? Do you see that as a possibility?
Well, I think it's what the game plan will probably call for. I think each week it's a little bit more individual, right? Against Jonathan Taylor, they were going to force the quarterback to throw the ball deep. That was the whole game plan from the jump. We're going to slow down Jonathan Taylor. We're going to make, a quarterback that really in Phillip Rivers couldn't throw the ball very far in general, and we're going to make him beat us. And then last week against Seattle, you've seen the 49ers go back to, we're not going to allow anything over the top. We're not going to give up any explosive plays. We're going to make Sam Darnold and this offense earn it. And what it meant was they gave up a ton of yards on the ground. I think that the 49ers know they got to slow down Saquon Barkley, but what does that mean as far as slowing the Eagles down? Because I think they're still going to stick to the method that they've been running that's been the most successful for them this season. When they don't give up explosive plays and they make teams go down the field consistently for 10 to 12 to 13 play drives, they look at it as at one of those third downs, they're going to make a mistake. They're going to not be able to convert a touchdown. That has been the name of the game. And you could say everything you want about the 49ers defense. When it came to scoring defense last week, they gave up 13. I know it could have been 19, but 19 is still a number you should be able to win with the type of offense the 49ers have. So I think Saquon gets some yards in this game. I'm not sure he gets shut down. I think they want him somewhere between 90 and 100 yards on the ground. I think they feel like with how bad the Eagles are on third down conversions, they could probably get off the field. And we are talking about Jalen Hurts, and we're not talking about a Matthew Stafford or, one of these guys that can make things happen. So I think they're taking that into consideration. But make no mistake, when Saquon Barkley rushes for 80 yards or under, the Eagles lose. Like, that's just the way it is. So if they shut down the run game, they put it on Jalen Hurts, they're probably going to have a chance to win.
So what's your schematic advantage? Like, if you're looking at, okay, you're going to run a bunch of cover 3, you're going to do some cover 2, like start at the back and then work your way up to the front with, okay, what's the coverage? We see the 49ers do a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 6, a lot of quarters. And, at times, probably one of my favorite plays last week when they inverted that Tampa 2 look on third down and it was perfect, but then you got a penalty, free first down, whatever. I don't know. How do you see Robert Saleh and the 49ers adjusting schematically, right, to take away and get you an extra guy in the box?
I think at first, in the first part of the drive, depending on the starting location, you're probably going to see them start with 2 eye safeties. I think as the drive moves is when you got to see Robert Saleh and the defense get a little bit more aggressive. When you get to about midfield, maybe you start seeing some 8-man boxes occasionally, somebody coming in, some different type coverages there, maybe a couple of man opportunities. And then as they get to the 30, you get a little bit more aggressive and you try to make them stall out, because if the Philadelphia Eagles get into the low red zone, it's a touchdown. Like, they score 70% of the time when they get inside the red zone. They are the best in the NFL. So it's all about preventing that. Field goals are not a defeat for Robert Saleh's defense. Like, you're okay with field goals because you feel like your offense is good enough to score touchdowns. So I think it changes. I think there's going to be a lot of 2 eye safeties, a lot of quarters looks. They want to make Jalen Hurts beat them and find the zones and locate the receivers. He's proven he can do it at times, but can he consistently do it for drives? And then they get more aggressive as it kind of moves down the field.
Yeah. And Dale right here, he says, I love it when it says when they get to the 30, not if they get to the 30. And you look at this Eagles offense, like they're not a good offensive team. And yes, they have, the wide receivers, the tight end, the offensive line, the quarterback, the running back. They're 24th on third downs this year. 24th. Now, when Lane Johnson has been out, which he has been for a very long time, he's back now. Like, is that affected things? But like, we know what the Eagles are. If it's short yardage, the Eagles are the best in the NFL. They're number 1 offense in red zone in the NFL. 49ers are second. But like, we understand, like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, tush push, all that BS. Like, that ain't going to work this game. Alfred Collins is great. I'm not really expecting a lot of 4th and 1 stops against the Eagles. The problem is to get them in the middle of the field. The 49ers have given everybody into the red zone. Now, last week against the Seahawks, you held their offense 0 touchdowns in the red zone out of 3 chances. I don't think it's going to happen again this week. So it's kind of weird and a little antithetical to Robert Saleh and the 49ers defensive scheme. Hey, we're going to let them do this 10, 12 play drive and we're going to buckle down at the end. I'm not sure that will work against this Eagles because the Eagles' whole mindset is, dude, if we just get in the red zone, we score a touchdown. So, man, that's going to be one of those things that I just want to like constantly see. And what that looks like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Now, I think the biggest issue in the Seattle game was the 49ers lost the trenches on offense and defense. You look at the Eagles and the way that they're built, I don't think that they are near as good as the Seahawks team overall. But the one area where they have the guys, the Jimmies and the Joes, is offense and defensive line. So from a 49ers stance, how does that change and not look like last week?
Well, I think when you're looking at the defensive portion of the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, these guys, Nolan Smith, these guys are elite players, right? And especially those 2 guys on the inside, those guys are phenomenal. But when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles defense overall, it doesn't have the depth at defensive line like Seattle does. I mean, you just look at the name. Seattle's rolling in a line change every time. You're like, holy cow, they got another dude that can make something happen. With the Eagles, you don't have that. And so what you've seen as games have progressed and the Philadelphia Eagles play, when the teams are attacking them on the outside, they give up 4.7 yards per attempt on outside zone plays. That is something the 49ers can attack. Why? Well, number one, they're not as good on the edge. And I know they traded for Jalen Phillips, but that's still a place you can go at a Nolan Smith. You can go at a Azeez Ojulari if he's playing in this game. Those guys you can take advantage of on the edge. That's when your tight ends can kind of help you get a run game going, but it also makes Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis run. If you're going outside zone, they're moving. If you can get something going, by the time you get to the fourth quarter, those guys are going to be gassed, and all of a sudden they're not going to have the energy to get upfield as much and get after you. I think that's how you have to attack that defense. You have to get the run game going on the outside with the outside zone, the toss plays, put the pressure on, and it's the old game. What did the Philadelphia Eagles do against the 49ers 21 personnel? Is it going to be Cooper DeJean in the nickel set? And are they going to be able to stop the Niners? If they are, it's going to be a tough day for the 49ers. If they're not, that's where the 49ers find their schematic advantage and kind of alleviate the pressure of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, who can do damage on the inside.
Dude, George Kittle, C-gap power against Cooper DeJean. Like, that's the way it's supposed to go, right? And so we talk about these matchups, and, I posed the question to you, how did the 49ers help the offensive defensive line? Dude, you run behind, whether Trent plays or not, you run behind Colton McKivitz and freaking George Kittle. Like, Colton McKivitz is putting up one of the best run blocking years I could ever remember. I see, whenever I watch Colton McKivitz run block, I think about Joe Staley all the time. Like, it is so consistently good. Now, Joe Staley's way more consistent in the pass game and whatever else. But, like, I think Colton McKivitz has just elevated his run blocking to the nth degree. And if they're going to put Cooper DeJean out there when we're in, 21 personnel, dude, I want Juice kicking out, and I want Kittle going at it, man. Take advantage of that. So we'll see. Now, Vic Fangio's about as good as they get. That is something that concerns me for sure. Now, and we haven't even talked about my number one advantage for the 49ers against the Eagles. We're going to talk about that next. And if you go to any games, whether it's the Eagles, playoffs, 49ers concerts, you got to use TickPick. Hey, Niner faithful, if you're looking for tickets to see the 49ers play this season, TickPick is the destination for the best deals you'll find on tickets with absolutely no hidden fees. TickPick guarantees the best price on tickets to every NFL game and beyond. Download the TickPick app and use code NINERS, NINERS, at checkout to save $10 on your first order. Again, that's code NINERS. Get your tickets ready today to cheer on the team with the rest of the 49ers Rush community, and all of our events for the 49ers Rush road trip are sold exclusively on the TickPick app or tickpick.com. Just search 49ers Rush. Shout out to Lyle in the super chat. I am with you 100%. He says special teams will play a big part of this game. 49ers have a lot better special teams than Philly. Field position will be crucial. Agreed. The 49ers have, depending on what EPA metric or analytical whatever, first or second best special teams in the NFL. Philly, 16, 17 in those same respective categories. The 49ers special teams has been lights out after the first month of the season. Got to win 2 phases of the game. Talk to me about special teams and what you expect. Do they continue just to roll and just everything goes smoothly?
Yeah, I mean, since week 11, the 49ers are number 1, according to DVOA, and the Philadelphia Eagles are number 24. So there is a stark comparison between the two. The 49ers have been so good on special teams. And when you're talking about a defensive battle, a low-scoring game, which I think everyone's kind of anticipating, special teams, field position, converting on field goals are very important. And I do think the 49ers have an advantage on special teams, and they're going to have to take advantage of it. They need that to be a phase they ultimately win no matter what. Last week against Seattle, we thought, it could be a wash, and the 49ers had a chance. This week, they need to categorically win it. That will give them an advantage. That way, offensively or defensively, they got to win another phase, and then they can go ahead and get it done. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a big part of it, and it's nice knowing that you have guys that can execute, and they've done a really good job with special teams. Brant Boyer, what a great pickup that has been. He has fundamentally changed special teams in San Francisco.
Yeah, he's been awesome. So, if you're Kyle Shanahan, is the feel of this game, we got to have touchdowns, kind of like the Bears game where it's like, dude, it's all touchdowns. Like, that's all the difference. And the one team that did kick a field goal lost. Is it like that? Or is this just, hey, 17-13 is a possibility? Or is this going to be a barn burner?
I don't think it's going to be a barn burner. I don't think either team's going to be able to get that much offense going. I think there'll be times they move the ball. There'll probably be some big plays here and there. But I do think this is going to be a low-scoring game. And I think Kyle Shanahan's got to find when he wants to be aggressive and when he wants to be content with where he's at. I don't think he can get stuck in one thing. It has to be, hey, let's go ahead and kind of mix it up and find the times to be aggressive and take advantage of those. There's times that you got to go take advantage of a defense. And I think he needs to be aggressive enough in the playoffs. I think he will be. I think last week was a little bit different because of the situation of the game. And, he knew that there was another game the next week, no matter what. Now there's no chance. He never wants to have a mistake. He never wants to have a big error, but you also have to run the risk and let Brock Purdy cook a little bit at times. So I think it's going to be a give and take, but I expect him to be a little bit more aggressive in this matchup. And probably, the first team to get to 23, if anyone gets to 23, I think they probably win the game.
23. Ooh, I like that. What about this from Reese? Great question. How many carries for the Niners to win? Is it 12 like last week, Ant? Is that a number that you would go with?
I can tell you this. I coached so many years. My team never ran the ball just 12 times. Like, that is a crazy stat to see. That's how you're just not getting the offense rolling in rhythm. I think it's got to be 35. I think 35 is the magic number. I know Kyle Shanahan goes into every game. 30 gives them a chance to win. That's the ultimate goal. I think that they're going to shoot for 30, 35. They know they probably win the game. 40, if they get to 40, it's a done deal, right? Seattle got 39 last week. Done deal. They're going to win the game. And I think that's what they're targeting. But this might be Brock Purdy early, trying to loosen some things up. And then Christian McCaffrey and hopefully Brian Robinson getting some carries as well. Because if Robinson's getting carries, that means the run game is successful. That means they're in rhythm, and they need Christian McCaffrey to come off the field off and on and let Brian Robinson spin a little bit. So hopefully that happens.
Man, I would like some B-Rob carries. Like, I want it. The one thing that I would say, like, man, if I was in the coaching staff offensively, I'd be like, hey, guys, we can run the ball on third downs. Like, 3rd and 4, you can run the ball. Like, you can mix in a 3rd and 5 run game. Like, those things, like, just break some tendencies this week, keep them honest, and help out your offensive line. Let's make those things work. I think that's a big deal. Dell says, he thinks we only get 50 plays, only got 42 offensive plays last week. That was a big reason why things didn't work out. And right here, Brian Robinson needs to touch the ball 10 times. I would love that. However, if we look at, do you know what the most touches this season for Brian Robinson is off the top of your head by any chance?
I thought it was 8, but I'm not positive.
You had 9 against Tennessee. That was a
Okay.
win. You had 9 against Arizona. That was a win. You had 9 against the Rams, which was a loss. You had 9 against the Falcons, and you had 11 against Seattle. No, yeah, is that right? Wow, that doesn't make sense. Really? No, that's wrong. He didn't have 9 rushing attempts last week. Oh, that's the first game, the very first game of the year. The schedule's inverse. It was his most. He had 9 rush attempts for 33 yards and 2 passing targets. Dude, I would love 10 touches for Brian Robinson. That would make me ecstatic. It really, really would. Man, please run the ball. Please run the ball. Please run the ball. Let's see here. Lou says, guys, getting tired of hearing about all the injuries. It's every year, not just this one. Why or why? Let's approach it from this way. Give me your percentage take on Trent Williams playing this week.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, man.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Trent, and it's interesting. People have been asking about that, and I think it comes down to this. I'm going to give this theory first about Trent. He is only going to play if he feels he gives the 49ers a better opportunity than Austin Pleasance, because he did that once with Colt McKivitz. He played and he felt like he hurt his football team. So if he feels like he gives them an advantage, he'll play. I'm putting it at 50-50. I think Trent Williams tries to gut this thing out and play if he can. I think he really wants to play, and I think that he's going to try to make it happen. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But I think they push this thing all the way to the very end to see if he has a shot to go.
Man, I like the 50-50. I would take that. I would have said lower. I would have probably said about 35% Trent plays, but I like your optimism better. Ant's just a better man than I am in every single field. All right, now let's go with number 1, Pretty Ricky. And again, now this show is being practice about to happen here any minute now. This is being recorded before the practice report of Thursday. So we're fighting blind here. What's the percentage Ricky Pearsall plays?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was at least hopeful that he was working on the side field yesterday. I thought that report was good news. But I don't know, because he practiced all week last week. I anticipated Ricky Pearsall playing. I am nervous about him. I think part of the reason I'm more inclined to say Trent, he's further along in his career. He kind of knows his body a little bit better, and he's playing in short quarters most of the time. I know he's got to get out there and run a little bit, but it's different. Ricky Pearsall's got a PCL injury that held him out for most of the year, and he's got to get in and out of breaks and run routes. And I don't know. I'm a little less likely with Pearsall, but I hope he does play. I'll put it at 35% that Ricky Pearsall plays.
Look at this. I'm more optimistic than Ant from 49ers Cutback. I'm changing my Facebook profile. I was going to say 65% that Ricky plays. I think that he tries to get out there. And can we just give a shout out to Kyle Shanahan and that dude just lying through his teeth on injuries? You remember when they asked him post game Saturday, if this game was on Sunday, do you think Trent and Ricky Pearsall had a better chance to play? He's like, yeah, definitely. And then they didn't. You had 4 days off and still didn't practice. That dude is so funny to me. I don't see it as a negative, but it's just that dude just, oh man. It's funny to me. Shout out to RTP FTW. When this show's over, go check out Brock Purdy scheduled to speak in about 15 minutes, and then practice starts right after that. So, just let you know where that is. And PCLs are rough. It's not just him. There are a lot of other wide receivers going through PCL injuries that have missed the same amount of time. The problem with the 49ers, and it has been this all season, re-injuring the same injuries. Re-injuring the same injuries. Need to drink milk. There you go. That's the answer right there. That is the absolute answer. I love that. Mike McDaniel just got fired this morning. Hate that. Love that man. When Harbaugh got fired, I think that changed the trajectory for a lot of people, a lot of jobs, a lot of teams. And there's currently 25% of the NFL without a head coach. Bobo asked, Mike McDaniel's coming back. I don't think so. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't think so either. Because I don't think that Clay Kubiak is going to get any looks to be a head coach anywhere. Kyle's not going to let him leave for a lateral move. So Mike McDaniel doesn't really fit as an offensive coordinator. I think he becomes a very good offensive coordinator for somebody around the league looking for a good mind. He can put it together. And we've never really seen him call plays as just an offensive coordinator. He called them as a head coach, but I think there's somebody around the league that's going to look to hire him. And maybe Todd Bowles down there in Tampa Bay, who's cleaning house right now, trying to save his job.
Dude,
maybe he looks at somebody like that.
Everybody, every single position coach, coordinator, and it's so funny because you look back at Baker Mayfield, he either gets you fired or a head coaching job. There is nobody that keeps their job under Baker Mayfield. You go all the way back to Cleveland. Dude gets everybody fired or you get a head coach. Like those are your two. There is no middle ground whenever you're around Baker Mayfield. It either you get promoted, make millions of dollars, or you get fired. That's all there is to it. My biggest fear, we're talking Eagles this week, is Mike McDaniels going to the Eagles. That would piss me off. The only reason why I think it might not happen is because of how bad Mike McDaniels and the Vic Fangio fallout was at Miami. And I'm just crossing my fingers that that's enough to keep those two guys separated. But that's my biggest fear is that Mike McDaniels would go to, I don't think that he comes back. One, he couldn't call plays here. He's going to be at the top of the offensive play caller hiring for offensive coordinators. I think Commanders are trying to get that call in. Like, dude, Commanders would hire that dude right now. Like, that is a perfect pairing in my opinion. Also, Mike McDaniel has not had the kindest words in the world about Kyle Shanahan. I don't think so. I think that there's, I just don't see it. I don't. It doesn't make too much sense to me. And right here, back to the injuries in the linebacker spot, Leon. If they win this week, do you expect them, Nick Martin, to return and play? Because after this game, then Nick Martin could technically, get the 21-day practice window activation. What do you think there?
No, I think there's another quarterback or another linebacker that they're potentially going to bring back at some point. So they're holding on to those spots just in case. So, I mean, you get far enough along, maybe Fred is the one that comes back. I think that they're kind of understanding where they're at with the linebacker room. I think it's going to be the land of misfit toys at linebacker right now. And I think that's okay. I like the guys that they have. I would love to see Nick Martin play, but I don't think this is the best time to just bring him back and say, okay, go get it, go make it happen, go learn. I think if they're going to bring a linebacker back, it'll be Fred. Yeah,
there we go. Tommy. Oh, come on, Tommy. Thanks for the super chat. McDaniels to the Eagles. Sorry, it's going to happen. Tommy is one of those glass half empty guys. But I love you, Tommy, nonetheless. Ryan says, what did McDaniel say about Shanahan? He just talked about how he felt like he was exploited throughout most of his career and kind of taken advantage of. Go listen to probably not work for this week. The Athletic, Jordan Rodriguez did the Play Caller series 2 off seasons ago. It was absolutely off the charts. It's all about Shanahan, McVay, KOC, Raheem. Like, it's absolutely incredible. Mike McDaniel, and it's just interviewing those guys and all about their past. Every time Mike McDaniel had an interview, he really sounded like he had a major bone to pick with Kyle Shanahan. And he was thankful for what he did, but also felt like he was taking advantage of a lot. So I don't know. Read into that however you want to, but I remember several times listening to that series. I think it's a 3 or 4 part series where I was just like, damn, McDaniels and no bueno. No bueno. Dale, thanks again, man. Solid McDaniels, Ravens, bet odds now on Bettor. Yeah, good Lord. And what's funny is Robert Saleh hasn't even been listed as a head coaching interview for the Ravens. They've already got 3 names out. Robert Saleh's not on there. So I think they're wanting to go offense there. And, that was the one time when Harbaugh quit. It was the first time where I was like, damn, this is the first possibility where I feel like Robert Saleh, we could lose him. Because if you get a Coach Lamar on that roster, I'm taking that in a heartbeat. Now, I don't know if the Ravens are interested in, Robert Saleh, but it was the first time where I was like, damn, I would take that job. If I could be the head coach of freaking Lamar, I'm taking that 10 times out of 10 if it's offered.
Yeah, I mean, he would have to sell the Ravens on whoever he's bringing in on offense. Because that is exactly what they're looking for. Somebody to kind of unlock Lamar Jackson, take him to the next level. They chose quarterback over head coach on this situation. And this is exactly what they want. So I don't think they're looking defense. So far, everyone that I've pretty much seen tied, or at least most of them are offensive names. And I think that's the direction they're looking to go. But, I mean, Saleh could always convince him if they decide to meet with them. But I think there's going to be other teams and other opportunities that are going to come Saleh's way. And he just has to decide if they're good enough, to give this second chance, this run an opportunity. But I think that around the league, most jobs are going to go to offensive minds. It's just the way that things are rolling right now in the NFL.
And again, whenever coaches returning to the 49ers, makes a lot of sense for defensive coaches to return, like Robert Saleh, because they could be the guy, call plays, be in charge of everything. Offensive guys, not near as much, because you'll never call plays over Shanahan, right? So, like, you use Shanahan to get the job. Look at Clint Kubiak, like Mike McDaniels. I mean, you can go on and on and on there. But, like, for them to come back, it's not only a demotion from head coach to OC, it's even worse than that, because you can go call plays elsewhere. So that's why usually the offensive play callers not going to return here. It's just a major step back. Defensive guys makes more sense. Lyle, thanks again for the super chat. What do you think about Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, if they win this week? If you haven't done it yet, if nobody in the NFL has done it yet, I don't think so. A defensive tackle is the one room that is healthy, even if Jordan Elliott is hurt. Like, you still have Evan Anderson. You still have the Hulk, Sebastian Valdez, waiting in the rings. Like, they are fine at the defensive tackle room. Christian Wilkins, if you didn't bring him back already, it ain't going to happen now. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know what the status of his foot is. I mean, there was an argument between him and the Raiders just on how bad the foot was in general. They wanted him to have surgery. He didn't want to. We don't even know if he's healthy. So, I mean, the player's a fantastic player. In a perfect world, right, that would be a great pickup. I don't see him coming back this season, and I don't even know if he's going to be healthy for next season. There's just nothing to be known about Wilkins or what actually happened in that locker room.
Yeah, that's another thing. Do you want to bring that in at this point? If you didn't do it already, I mean, he hasn't even had a workout. He hasn't had anything. So that tells me health and off the field, just like, stay away. Not that he's not a great player. I mean, good Lord. What was his payday? Like $25 million a year. I mean, he's damn good. It's just, you didn't do it already. And I'll say this for all the innovations and whatever else, it changes, personnel changes. If you didn't do it already, don't expect it to happen this week. Don't look for players to be benched and all of a sudden this young rookie or whatever start getting playing time now. You go with the girl that got you there. And that's kind of where they are. So we'll stand with that. Now, Ant, is there anything that we skipped over that you want to highlight that we perhaps missed in the notes section or anything like that?
I will just say this. I think this game is going to come down to a couple of things for the 49ers defensively. Number one, they got to slow down Saquon Barkley. And I'm not saying stop, because it's hard to stop Saquon Barkley, but slow him down. And number two, they've got to get off the field on third down. The Philadelphia Eagles are not great on third down. 37% of the time they're going to convert. If you can make them face 2 or 3 third downs in a drive, I think you can get stops and get off the field. And I think that's going to be the 49ers' target in this game. Something to watch. If the Eagles are good on third down and they're running the ball with Saquon Barkley, it's going to be a lot tougher for the 49ers. But I think that is the way that Robert Saleh and that defense slow down Philadelphia's offense that hasn't been great this season. Only 3 times in the last 2 months have they went over 20 points. So that's something to remember, and why I said potentially 23 wins this game.
I'm just like, in the back of my head, this evil voice is just screaming 3rd and 17, 3rd and 17. And John Lynch is in an uproar up in the freaking, press suite, whatever. And it's just like, golly, man, just do your damn jobs, guys. Like, understand what you got to do. Go play football. Understand this is a game you played since you were kids. Don't have to overcomplicate it. Show up. Want it more than the other team. Give your freaking team a chance. Special teams, they're going to do their thing. Offense or defense shows up. That's 2 out of 3 phases. Get the damn win. Injuries galore. I get it. Doesn't matter. Nobody feels sorry for you in the playoffs. Go get it done. Go get the damn game done. Let's go, baby. Oh, man, I hope we get to talk about this another week. And I just want to say thank you. You've been off the freaking charts all year long. Definitely didn't disappoint today. But for everybody else, you are the best fan base. You are the faithful. Stay positive. And until next time, stay strong, faithful.